Good morning, everyone. Happy Sunday. I always like to begin with a smile, especially when it's about Bubba. I heard about Bubba. Bubba lived in town. He was going to do something old-fashioned that we don't do nowadays. Bubba had an old dog that he decided he was just kind of done with it. He was going to drive it out, get it lost, and someone else would discover it and adopt it or something. And so he put the dog in the truck, drove out to the countryside, a couple miles, dropped off the dog, meandered home again. He gets back home. As he's driving up to the house, he sees the dog sitting in the yard waiting for him. He's like, this is really strange. Can't believe it. Puts the dog back in the truck, drives out, goes twice as far away out, does the same thing. Gets home, the dog is sitting there on the porch waiting for him. Boy, this confounds him. Puts the dog back in the truck. Drives way out to the countryside. Crisscrosses, goes in circles, goes back and forth. Crisscrosses all over the countryside, mountainside, all over the place. Drops off the dog. He's like, now we've done it. Starts driving home. He gets lost. Gets out his cell phone. Calls his wife at home. Wife, is the dog there? She looks up. Yep, dog's here. Can you put him on the phone? I need directions. Boy, there's some messages there, isn't there? Launching forward with faith and fire, to me, is not an abstract, esoteric thing as much as it is personal. Do you know what it feels like to run out of steam? Life just kind of gets to you. It's like, one more thing. And it's like, do you feel like sometimes, your energy just gets taken all away? And it's like you're down to empty. Anyone ever run out of gas before? Thankfully, Bubba did not. He was just lost, right? He was just lost. But I remember when I was in high school, I was a senior, and late at night we were coming back from my grandparents, and I was driving the car, and it was only me and my younger sister, right? So I'm the big 18-year-old, in charge of the car. And as we're driving through the countryside to go to my parents' house in the countryside, we ran out of gas, like 11 o'clock at night. And we were all alone. This was almost before the age of, this was before cell phones. This was before they had lights out in the countryside. I mean, it was dark. And I knew there was one place called 7-Eleven way up the road. And I thought, that's okay. They have gas there. We'll just go there. And so, man in control. We slept up to the, 11:15 at night in the dark. And I'm acting like I have my wits about me. We get to the 7-Eleven and I say to the attendant, we're here to buy some gas. And he's like, that's great, but I don't see a car outside. And I was like, well, we're down the road a piece. And I said, well, we just want to buy a gallon of gas. That's all we need to get home. And he said, well, you got a gas can? Nope. Got $2? No gas can. And then I start thinking, what could I put gas in? Immediately I think, dumpster, possibilities. And I go behind the 7-Eleven. There was a dumpster. There was this old can that I think had vegetable oil or something like that in it, and I tried to clean it up a bit. And we got some gas in the can, walked back to the car. Gallon of gas can take you far. Can take you a long ways. Running out of energy is a big deal. Even if you're really close to where you want to go. Having the faith, the focus, knowing where you want to go is really, really important. But if you run out of the fire, if you run out of the energy, all the planning, right? It kind of goes out the window. I'm in control of what's going on. Doesn't it just kind of like all become meaningless? Are you with me on this? It's like, all that work, all the planning. For what? Because the energy is just kind of sapped right out of us. When we connect with faith, the fire of Spirit, the fire of the infinite God, that unquenchable, unending source of energy, we've got something wonderful going on. When we talk about the master teachers, it's not an esoteric thing to be left there as unknowable. It's experiential. As metaphysicians, when we experience the master teachers, the wisdom, it's life-giving. Are you with me? It's life-giving. It's energetic. You feel it. Someone the other day, they said, well, if I can get wisdom out of a book, why would I want to talk to my spirit guides? Oh boy, that was rich. I was like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding? Oh, we talked for an hour. How exciting. Because they can actually give you wisdom that feels like inspiration. This person didn't know at the age of, I think she was about 55, who knows. But the good news is, they didn't know how exciting the wisdom could be that they could receive that felt like fire. And I said, have you ever been to a motivational talk where you just left so excited? She said, yes. I said, that's what it's like. And I said, have you ever read like a self-help book and you got like one gem out of this chapter and one gem over here? She said, yes. That's what the master guides can do. That's what the teachers can do. They're just available, waiting for that moment. We almost call it a sacred moment. When you reach empty, there's nowhere else to turn. And that phrase, thy will be done, because my will's not working out. Thy will be done. On empty, saying, okay, what's your wisdom have to say? And it gives spirit the room. When the ego is set aside, I call it sincere desperation. When there's nowhere else to turn, Lord, make me willing. I'm really, really willing. And the divine teachers can step in and give you that wisdom in one little nugget, as though you had just read that motivational book or read that self-help chapter, and just hand it to you in just a moment. When I was 18, I had gone away to university. I had high hopes to go to this private university that I had gotten into, and it was costing way more than I had. And my parents said, "We don't have the money, so good luck to you." And I was off working 6 days a week at the summer camp up in the mountains. 18 years old, just days after my high school graduation. Whole life in front of me of unknowns. And it was scary. And I discovered in this meadow, right there, near the cabins for the staff, in this meadow was a rock. And it had a little creek that ran by it. And when the thoughts of fear, the thoughts of you're drained of energy and you don't know where to go, I would sit on this rock. And all of nature, it was in the middle of a meadow. Can you stand it? A meadow that like opened up with grasses and then trees and the mountains. It was glorious. And there I sat in God's cathedral, humbled. Whole life ahead of me. Nowhere to turn. Except the divine. Oh, except the divine. Nowhere to turn except for that which is unquenchable. Nowhere to turn except for this unending stream of wellness that says, oh, I see you there on the rock. I get it. Oh, the bills? Oh, we got that under control. It's why you're on staff here. Duh. Right? We see you. Oh, we see the possibilities stretching out in front of you. We feel you. Because God is pure positive energy. Have you ever complained that someone didn't get you? You can raise your hand on that one. That's 4. I love it. Your guides and teachers that are pure positive energy are like these walking antennas that totally perceive, literally to the core of their hearts, what we're about. I see you, is what they say. I get you. So when your gas tank runs empty, you have somewhere to go. Now, how many of you have literally, when your gas tank gets to the E, catches you by surprise? It's got me, I don't leave town very often, but once in a while, all of a sudden, this red light pops on. I'm on E. Ooh, the horrible E, you know. How many of you have seen the E and it catches you off guard? Yeah? Ooh, and then what? Now, do you all of a sudden take a little, from the passenger seat, do you take a little yellow smiley face? And you put it over the E and just, problem solved! It's a smiley face now. I don't want to stretch the metaphor too far, but you know what? Throwing a smiley face on some things doesn't quite work, right? Poor E, poor gas tank, only needs some gas. But if it ain't coming in, oops, not enough, right? What about the bank account? Slap a smiley face on that if it's too low. Is that going to solve it? Ouch. Maybe not. Maybe an infusion, right? Isn't that what we need? Is it an infusion? I need some more energy, please. I need some, it's called cash in my world, or it's called gasoline. More fuel. We need it. And putting a smiley face on it doesn't quite work. Might make you feel good for the moment. But how many of us, when we reach empty, emotionally or financially, how many of us, when we reach empty, take it personal, and we become our own worst enemy by putting ourselves down, and we might say something like, okay, it's over. I'm done. Life's over. I'm a bad person. We take it personal. And it's only a matter of opening up to, there's more energy available. Thank you. That's wonderful. Unending streams of Spirit, bringing that inspiration that feels like hopefulness into the heart. Unending streams of finances, we can do that. Are you open? Got to have the open heart. The clenched fists trying to receive money doesn't work very well. And metaphorically, or metaphysically, we do this with our hearts sometimes, when it comes to love, right? Or finances. We do it in lots of ways sometimes, where we say, I want more, I want more, I want more. But something within our being is kind of closed off. Closed heart, maybe. Closed fists. It's a blessing. It's a blessing. I was working with this beautiful lady who she couldn't see any solutions to her foreclosure. This was in California. And it would talk about something that hits you, in your solar plexus. That's where you hold your survival instincts and your sense of security. And she could hardly think because it was so emotional that she might lose her home. And so we met at a coffee shop. And we just kind of relaxed her for a few minutes. Just relaxed her. Ooh, isn't that brownie good? Yes. Isn't this coffee good? Oh, yes, yes, yes. And I got to pay for it. Why? God has a lot of money. God has a lot of energy. Why would I see her in my spare time? I have a lot of energy. God's giving me more, unending. Oh, I love you so much. Oh, you've been so wonderful in my life. I tell her, you have such a unique voice. Beautiful soul this young woman was. Her whole life ahead of her. And she couldn't see one solution to the foreclosure. Until we began to play with ideas. And Spirit, my guides and teachers, would say, what about that deadbeat brother of yours that's working with you, or living with you, and not paying rent? She says, well, I can tighten that up, she says. I now have the motivation. She didn't have boundaries before. This guy is making a normal living, not paying any rent. And so now she had the ability, the motivation from Spirit, to say, wow, he can pay rent too. And then she realized some of her family, an aunt was moving to town that didn't have any place to live. And that's when it dawned on her, she had a guest house in her backyard. Empty. And I'm like, hello? How do you spell $900, And so before we ended the meeting, and the coffee and the brownie, all of a sudden she's like, wow, I can pay my mortgage. And I said, yes, you can. Yes, you can. That's always Spirit's message. You can. Because the source of well-being is unending. But can we enter that sacred space, that private moment of relaxation? Sometimes the word meditation kind of scares us because, oh, it sounds like a guru that, has achieved years of mindfulness but sometimes a beautiful type of meditation is just anything that is a positive distraction, like a walk, a bubble bath. Just enough of a positive distraction so that the guides can get through some of the noise of stress, like the coffee and the brownie was. She was distracted just enough that all of a sudden these ideas began to percolate to the surface, and she felt a sense of the renewal of, oh, that would work, oh, that would work, oh, that would work. Where 2 hours earlier, there was no solution at all. And so we're working with this source of being that is unlimited. We've all got these souls, which are these connections to Spirit. Every single one of us. Slapping a happy face on it might be okay for the moment. Let's not take it personal. When we run out of energy, that's just a thing that happens. We are these beautiful managers of energy. That's what I said to almost all students, learning to go into healing or mediumship, learning to manage their businesses or their spiritual gifts. It all comes back to managing. I'm managing the energy of who I am. My thoughts that are attractive in nature. My emotions that are attractive in nature. I'm managing the energy that I am. Being open to the direction I say that I'm wanting. So when we talk about launching forward with faith and fire to begin a brand new year, it's powerful. You'll have access to it every single day of the year. But let me tell you, if you can make an emotional commitment or write this affirmation, someone told me when they really love an affirmation, she puts it in lipstick on her mirror, and she says, then it's like a kiss every morning. When I see the lipstick on the affirmation is on her bathroom mirror. I start the day, she says, on the right foot. And starting the new year in January with this positive anticipation. Wow, I'm deeply grounded on this rock of faith, and I'm open to this unquenchable Spirit that understands me. And in Reverend Dorothy's Reflections magazine, we have this beautiful synthesis of this sacred moment that I would like to leave with you as a special quote. And in this reflection it says, I will enter the silence of meditation where I will absorb the answers to my problems and receive courage and strength that's needed. Let's begin 2014 with this affirmation. Thank you, everyone.